What's going on, everybody? It's your observant lineman, Uche Nwaneri, and 4 days into Major League Baseball's reopening, 4 days back into the return to normalcy, that has been shattered with 14 players from the Miami Marlins testing positive for COVID-19. Now, this video is not necessarily going to dive into that situation itself, but with the MLB and with the NBA both restarting up their normal operations with sports, and with some things that we're seeing happening, one being this mass infection of Miami Marlin players, and the other being an NBA player who broke the bubble to go to a strip club. With these things happening, what does this mean for the NFL? Like, the NFL is going to be the next up as far as major sports that are going to be returning to action. So how is this going to affect the NFL in a sport where you have 22 guys out on the field at one time, banging into each other full speed, trading all kinds of spit and sweat and blood between one another? How exactly can we expect football to fare any better than basketball or Major League Baseball is faring right now? I don't know that there is a scenario where you don't have an outbreak with an NFL team. I would be surprised if there was one. In a situation where we're trying to get back to normal, when you're trying to see things kind of return to how they were prior to all the madness, the MLB goes 4 days and they're already back in the same boat. The NFL is going to have many more players involved in their situation who are in much closer proximity, and there is going to be travel that is still going to happen between teams in different facilities around the country. So how exactly do we plan on playing through an NFL season without having to deal with a case where you have multiple players? Some may be stars, some may be the best players on their team who test positive, and now a team is at a disadvantage because for 2 weeks, maybe more, they're not going to have access to that player. Teams are going to have to take the field for games in which they're at a significant disadvantage because of the potential for the kind of talent that can be pulled off the field because of this. What is the NFL's plan for all of this? In this Sporting News article, they go over a lot of the protocols that the NFL's implemented for their COVID-19 testing and reactions to any positive tests from players. In the article, it reads, the exact format of 2020 NFL training camps, all of which will be held at team facilities rather than off-site locations, was decided a few days after the NFL and NFLPA finalized the health and safety measures. The NFLPA has been pushing for a longer than normal acclimation period to get their bodies ready for full contact practices in pads. The NFL-NFLPA Joint Medical Committee suggested a 48-day training camp, including a 28-day acclimation for strength and conditioning period. The players, for the most part, got what they wanted, as full padded practices will begin 3 weeks into training camp. Below is a full training camp schedule all teams will follow. July 26th to 31st, COVID testing and virtual meetings. August 1st to 2nd, physicals, equipment, and distribution. August 3rd to 11th, acclimation period. August 12th to 16th, gradual ramp-up period. August 17th to September 6th, contact integration period, otherwise known as practice. Further, it says, as for health and safety protocols at NFL training camps, all 32 teams have submitted infectious disease emergency response plans for the season. All 32 plans have been cleared by NFL Chief Medical Officer Dr. Alan Silas, but for a team to have more than 20 people at its facility and therefore opening training camp, its IDER plan also needs to be approved by the NFLPA. That process is ongoing. The players wanted daily COVID testing, and the NFL players agreed to supplement just that for at least the first 2 weeks of training camp. Starting August 1st, the NFL will have all personnel tested once a day, and after 2 weeks, if the rate of positive tests is below 5%, testing will move to every other day. If he has symptoms of COVID-19, at least 10 days must pass since the first symptoms occurred, and at least 72 hours have passed since symptoms last occurred. He must test negative and have his return approved by a team doctor in consultation with league medical officials. If he is asymptomatic, 10 days must pass since his positive test, or 5 days have passed since the positive test, plus 2 tests that show negative results for him to resume playing. The NFL is also implementing contact tracing so it can monitor the interactions of those who test positive. As Vikings head athletic trainer and infection control officer Eric Sugarman explained, people will be given proximity tracking devices when they enter the facility. The contact tracing program that we have will be very efficient, Sugarman said via ESPN. There's a company that's going to oversee it and within seconds be able to generate a report. Let's say we're in training camp a month from now and I test positive. It will be able within minutes to say who I was in contact with for whatever the threshold is, 15 minutes, etc. And I'm guessing that any contact tracing program, those people will be subject to more testing. So as you can see, there is a plan in place for the NFL to continue moving on with their training camp. They have some COVID-19 protocols in place for testing and for handling of people who do get tests that come back positive. But we'll see how it all plays out. The MLB had the same kind of thing. The NBA has the same kind of thing. And whether you have players who are kind of veering off the reservation or whether you have an actual outbreak that affects how a team can move forward, postpones games, and maybe even cancels portions of that team's season because of it, there are very real and serious threats that are facing the NFL season based on what we're seeing happen right now in Major League Baseball. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that the NFL is going to go the way of the MLB and start seeing clusters of players become infected with COVID-19? Will that have an effect on a team's ability to compete on a weekly basis if the NFL doesn't have some kind of plan to postpone things and shift schedules around if players are tested positive and it happens to be a significant amount of a team's roster? Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down in the comments below. Make sure you hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the Observant Lineman Uche Nwaneri, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.